I was recently trying to explain to one of my students that all of the notes within a piece of music actually work together. So here is the intro to The Scientist by Coldplay. Something that I try to get all of them to do is to actually get off script and to play whatever they want. These are scales, these are chords, these are inversions, and I'd like to talk about this today. That's the topic of today's discussion. How do we go from all of the 88 keys of the entire keyboard and like distill it into these structures? All right, let's get started with it. I like to think about music as if it's a house. This is an analogy that I use to explain 3 different concepts. So the foundation of this house is going to be this scale. This lays out the notes that we'll use to form the piece of music. Okay, now that we have the scale, and now that we have the foundation of the house, we can go ahead and build it up, build up the frames, and then build rooms inside of the house. These are the chords. Chords are what musicians use to harmonize. Okay, so now that we have the rooms of the house, and in every single house we can only have 7 chords. That was 7 there. Now, actually, no, sorry, it was 8 because I played the first chord twice. Either way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, let's move on. So every one of these chords can then be inverted up and down like this. This is like having this is like having furniture in the house. The thing about furniture is that you can rearrange it. When you rearrange furniture, you're not actually changing the function of the room. It doesn't change like the frame of the house, it doesn't change the foundation. So when we invert a chord, it doesn't change the harmony. Now, I do take that with a grain of salt because each inversion actually can play a different role within a piece of music. So for example, this is root position. If I were to move to second inversion, when I use second inversion, it creates the sense of wanting to keep moving forward. For example, if I were to go from F major to C major, if I use second inversion, it sounds like it wants to keep going. And you get the idea, each inversion can have a different function. Okay, so this builds up the house. This gives us our theory, this provides our foundation. All right, now that we have the house, let's make a story out of it. This is how I like to explain how chords work together. Normally, in this analogy or in this story, we're sitting at the house. It's a nice, normal, cozy day. Nothing's going on. It's like you have a day off from work. Okay, so then you decide to. Okay, so let's say we're here at the house. You decide to go for a walk and get some fresh air. That is the role of a different chord. All right, so we're home. We want to step outside, go to the park across the street, and it's pretty easy to get back home from here. All you have to do is cross back. But sometimes we might venture out even further from that park and go to a new part of town. This is like the sense of tension. This is a sense of dissonance, and this makes us want to return back home. Something happens in like a strange part of town, and we want to go back home. And you can hear that resolution. Each of these chords is going to be given a role or a job. Okay, but in this intro here, we don't actually go that far. We only go for a stroll and just come straight back home. Let's dive into that. How are we going to form? Where do we even start? Okay, so we have to start with our scale. We have to start with the foundation. Imagine that you've found a piece of land and that you want to build a nice, flat, solid foundation to build your house. Okay, we're going to use big concrete blocks. We're going to need 2 types of blocks, actually. We're going to need big blocks, and small blocks in order to form this foundation. All right, so what are we forming? We're forming a scale. A scale is a set of 7 notes, and the major scale is a particular scale quality that we're forming. There are different types of scales that have 5 notes, like the major pentatonic, penta meaning 5, and there's also the chromatic scale that has 12 notes. There's so many different types, but for now we're just sticking to the major. How do we form the major foundation, the major scale? We have a starting point, which is F. We want to go big block, small block, big block, big block, big block, small block. Imagine you're laying out the blocks for your foundation here. What are the big blocks? What are the small blocks? Those are whole steps and half steps. So as you noticed, I was stepping up the keyboard to go through that scale. What were the distances between all of the notes? The distances do matter because it's consistent for all major scales. Okay, so let's start with F. If I want to go up, I need to know how far I'm going up. There's 2 types of ways I can go up. I can either go up a half step, which is the next key. It's the key directly adjacent to what I was started on, F. This is F sharp or G flat. And if I were to go up another half step from F sharp, I would move to G. Up a half step to G sharp, up a half step to A, up a half step to A sharp. You get the idea. Even the 2 white keys, these are directly adjacent to each other, so they are a half step from each other. So whether you're going from white to white, white to black, black to white, that's a half step. So what's a whole step then? It's 2 halves together. A whole step is 2 half steps combined. So if I took F and I wanted to go up a whole step, I would go up 2 half steps, 1, 2 to G. Let's go up a half step from G to A. Let's go up sorry, did I say half step? I meant to say whole step, sorry. From G to A is a whole step. And then from a half step up from A is B flat. A whole step from B flat is C. A whole step from C is D. A whole step from D is E. And then a half step from E is F. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Big block, big block, big block. Big block, big block, small block. Big block, big block, big block, small block. Okay. That is how to form any major scale at all. So if you took any other, you could do A flat. If you followed that formula, you will end up with the major scale of A flat. Okay, here's A flat. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Big, big, small, big, 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 small. Another way to think about it is like stepping up a staircase. Stepping a half step is like 1 step up the staircase, and then a whole step is like skipping a step. So here's a skip, a step, skip, 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 step. Okay, but either way, we can just settle on F major because these are the notes that we're going to use to form all of these chords that I mentioned earlier. All right, we're going to start with 3 chords. We're going to start with like 3 rooms in the house, and you can call them whatever you want. Let's say the F major is like the entrance room, and then from the entrance room we'll go to the kitchen, which is B flat major, and then from B flat major we'll just go up to, I don't know, maybe let's go upstairs, go to the bedroom. This is going to be D minor. These are the 3 chords that we're going to focus on first. F major, B flat major, and D minor. How do we form them? All right, there's 2 ways to look at chords. I'm going to start with the intervals first. Again, intervals means distance. 3 notes form the F major triad: F, A, and C. We can measure and we can label the distances between all of these notes. Just like the major scale, the major chord or the major triad, the root of the word triad is 3, so 3-note chord. Just like the scale, each of these notes is a certain distance from each other, and it's consistent across all major triads. Okay, so first let's look at the distance between F and A. This is a major third. It's the 3rd scale degree of the F major scale, 1, 2, 3. But also it's 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps from the root F. Okay, so all major thirds are 4 half steps. let's go to the perfect fifth now, because we also need to form this interval to form that chord. So the interval between F and C is a perfect fifth. That's 7 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The major third and the perfect fifth form the major triad. Okay, let's do this. Let's apply all of the same principles to B flat, and I'm sure you can probably figure it out on your own by now. We need to form a major third and a perfect fifth from B flat. What are those two intervals? We need a major third and we need a perfect fifth. All right, let's go up a major third from B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that forms our first interval. And we're also going to need a perfect fifth, which is 7 half steps from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. B flat, D, and F form the B flat major triad. All right, now let's talk about the minor triad. As you can see, the quality of the chord changed. It doesn't, I don't like to put them into such, specific categories, but it's pretty, it's like generally agreed upon that the major triad sounds like happy, it sounds uplifting. And then the minor triad sounds a bit somber, a bit moody and sad. That's the quality of the chord. Okay, so we went from major, happy, to minor, sad. How do you make a minor triad? Well, we're going to keep the perfect fifth. So if we take D, the root, and go up a fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we go to A. This is the perfect fifth. And we need to form a minor third now. And a minor third is 3 half steps. So if you take the root D and go up 3, 1, 2, 3, we've now formed the minor triad. And just like anything, you can take any other root and you follow the same intervals, you end up with that same chord quality for that root, which in this case is F sharp or G flat. Okay, another note I had to make there is that in order to make a major interval minor, you just lower it by a half step. So we can also form F minor. We won't use it in the piece, but if you take that major interval and lower it by a half step, you make it minor. Same with B flat major. If you take that major interval from B flat to D and lower it by a half step to D flat, this is the minor triad. All right, so we got 3 rooms: F major, B flat major, and D minor. We're going to modify these. Although before we modify them, I do want to look at all of these chords through another lens, which is through the scale. Each of these chords is based off of a scale. It's based off of a scale that corresponds to the same exact root. So in this case, B flat major is based off of the B flat scale, B flat major scale. And it's the first, third, and fifth scale degrees of that major scale. It's the same with F. So if I were to form the F major scale and pick out the first, third, and fifth scale degrees, I end up with the triad. Okay, so the D minor chord is based off of the D minor scale. And that's a D natural minor scale. It has a different set of whole steps and half steps, so the quality changes. It's the first, third, and fifth scale degrees. So that's two ways to look at each chord, through the scale and simply by sticking to the root and then just forming the intervals from that root. The reason that I don't start with learning from the scales is because that sort of goes against the analogy. We're trying to build all these rooms off of this foundation, of the F major foundation. Okay, so before we move on, something I want to note is that each note of every single chord that we've formed so far, F, A, and C, B flat, D, and F, D, F, and A are all component notes of the F major scale. So never at any point are we going to be adding a note like C sharp. That's not in the scale. We're not going to be playing any E flats. Only a B flat that's the only accidental that we have to worry about. These are triads, 3-note chords. There are 2 of these that we're going to modify and turn into 7 chords. If you've found this video helpful, I strongly encourage you to check out pianowithpacha.com. Here I have a resource called Fundamentals that has every scale, every chord, and every inversion all in one place. Check it out. 7 chords, add a new interval. So if I were to, let's start with the B flat major triad. So we're going to turn this B flat major into a B flat major 7. And that is a beautiful sound. It's relaxing. It's one of my favorite chords. How do we form it? We start with the major triad, and we need a new interval. We need the major 7. The major 7 is the 7th scale degree of that scale. B flat. Here's B flat. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. The 7th scale degree is A. Major 7 is based off of that major scale, so we just simply add a major 7 interval, and then just like that, we form the B flat major 7. We're going to form another called the minor 7. Guess what? It's based off of that minor triad. D, F, and A form the D minor triad. We're going to add a minor 7 interval. We can do this in 2 ways. We could base it off the major scale or go straight to the minor scale, but I will start with the major scale. So here's D, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. This is the D major scale. Now, in order to make a minor scale out of this major scale, we have to lower a couple of intervals. I mentioned earlier that in order to make a major interval minor, you lower it by a half step. If we take 3 different intervals in here, the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th scale degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, F sharp, B, and C sharp. If we lower these all by a half step and then play them in the scale, so instead of playing F sharp, we do D, E, F natural, B flat, then C natural. That creates the natural minor scale. Now the minor 7 interval is based off of that minor scale. Here's D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the minor 7 is C natural. The major 7 is C sharp. Okay, so we add that minor 7 to the D minor triad. And just like that, we've formed the minor 7 quality. Okay, so those are the chords that we need in order to play the piece. Before we play the piece, though, we have to learn how to invert them, because all of these chords show up, practically all of them show up in inversions. The only exception, there's no exceptions, they're all inverted actually. So here's a huge concept that I wasn't aware of when I first started playing piano, and practicing it was grueling. It was not fun to have to go through all of these inversions, but it unlocked everything. It really did. And let me show you what they're all about. So let's start with an easy chord like F major. F major can be played in a different position. It can be played like this. It can be played like this. And this. F, A, and C can be reordered. So I could do A, C, then F. I can do C, F, and A. And then back to F, A, C. This is called inverting the chord, just playing in a different position. So if we take the root position, every single chord that we've learned so far has been in root position. If we take root position and take the bottom note, the first, and we bring it up 1 octave, so I'm going to take it, bring it all the way up past the 3rd and the 5th. This is first inversion, where the 3rd is the bottom note. Okay. Let's do that again. Let's take the 3rd, the bottom note, bring it up an octave. So now it's above the 5th and root. This is second inversion, where the 5th is the bottom note. And if we do this again, take the 5th, bring it up an octave. Now the root is the bottom note. We've returned back to root position. Let's go down to second inversion. Let's go down to first inversion. And then down again to root position. And again, going back to that original analogy, this is like rearranging the furniture within the entrance room, I believe is what we called the F major chord. Okay, so the thing about 7 chords, we're going to move on to B flat major 7. There's 4 notes in this chord, which means there's going to be an extra inversion. Let's do it. We have this time around we have a root, a third, a fifth, and a 7. So let's take the root and bring it up an octave, while keeping the third, fifth, and 7 where they are. All right, so let's take the third now, D, and bring it up an octave. So now we have the fifth, 7, root, and third. All right, let's bring this up again. So we'll take the fifth, bring it up an octave past everything else. And now we have the 7, root, third, and fifth. I love this chord. I love this voicing here. And then if we do that again, take the 7, bring it up an octave. You have root, third, 5, and 7, fifth, and 7. Okay, actually I should have gone back down with that, sorry. So here's third inversion, second inversion, first inversion, and reposition. Similar scenario, same scenario with D minor 7. Here's D minor 7. I'll do it down here. Take the root, bring it up an octave. Now we have the root, root, fifth, 7, root. Oh, let me completely redo that. Sorry. Okay, so here's the root, third, fifth, and 7. If I take the bottom note D, bring it up an octave, we have the third, fifth, 7, and then the root. This is first inversion. All right, let's take the third, bring it up. So we have the fifth, 7, root, and third in second inversion. Okay, let's bring up the fifth. Now the 7 is the bottom note. 7, root, fifth. 7, root, third, and fifth. Sorry, let me do that one more time. 7, root, third, and fifth. A lot to keep track of. All right, and then if we take that 7, bring it up. Now it's the top note. Root is the bottom. Root, third, fifth, and 7. I added a note E there. Don't do that when you're first practicing, unless you're just screwing around. But in order to get those inversions down, something I like to do is actually add pedal, because when you add pedal, you can hear any like new sounds. So if I'm inverting D minor 7 up to first inversion, if I hit a wrong note, it's gonna create a new sound. And so having the pedal to compare all of the notes and make sure they're the same or not the same is a great way to actually check yourself. All right, so let's do a quick recap of everything that we've done so far. We had to build up this house in order to learn all the theory and the chords and how to invert them. So first we start with the house. How do we build the house? We start by building up a foundation of blocks. Big blocks and small blocks. So let's start on F. Big block, small block, big block, small block. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. All right, so now that we have the foundation of this house, we can build the frame of the house and build up some rooms. So we're gonna start with F major. This is like the entrance room of the house. Then we move to a different room. We'll build up the kitchen, I think it was, either like the kitchen or the living room. And then we also build the bedroom, which is D minor. All right, so these are also 7 chords. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. So I guess like a way to bring that into the analogy is that these are the bigger rooms. Okay, now the final step is to furnish all those rooms and invert them up and down. Root, second inversion, first inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root, second, first, root. And I'll add the 7, sorry, I should have done that. Root, first, second, third, root, third, second, first, root. And then finally D minor 7, root, first inversion, second, third inversion, root, third, second, First root. All right, so now we've got it down. This is everything. Here is the story. It's story time now. How do we make sense of these notes? It helps to be able to know how to form all the chords and whatnot. But then knowing the relationship between all the chords is the next step. So what is the relationship between all the chords? We're going to have two different categories today: tonic and subdominant. We're going to have a home bass, a sense of consonance and rest, and then a couple of chords to step outside of that home base, go outside, go for a stroll, I don't know, go to the backyard and come back inside. A way to create movement in the piece of music and come right back home. All right, so let's do it. That first chord of the intro, D is the root, and we're playing what inversion of D minor 7? The bottom note is the 7, which makes this a third inversion. We then move to B flat major. There's no 7, B flat major, and we'll get to the 7 in a sec because that's part of the melody. But for now, we're going to stick to B flat major. It's an inversion. The left hand is playing the root here. The right hand is playing with the third as the bottom note, making this a first inversion. Here's root position, here's first inversion. There's some movement to F. And here is an F suspended. So this is a sus2, and I didn't go over sus2s, but I'll talk about them now. A suspension is where we replace the third with either a fourth or a second, which is a different interval. It's either one note above the third or one note below the third, and it temporarily delays a resolution. Although in pop music, and I think in this case, the way Coldplay utilizes the chord, I think it just creates some depth in the chord progression, as opposed to just hanging out on F for 8 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It sounds nicer to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. It just creates some interest, and you have like some stepwise motion there. All right, so how do we make sense of those? What's the relationship between all the chords? The F major chord is the tonic, and this is our home bass. And then B flat or B flat major 7 is the subdominant chord, just like stepping outside, along with D minor and D minor 7. This is also the equivalent of just stepping outside the house. In order, it goes D minor 7, B flat major 7, then down to F major. Here it is again. Here's D minor 7 in, sorry, I'm blanking, with third inversion. And then we move to B flat major 7 in, actually we don't do the B flat major 7, we do the not root position, we do just regular major in first inversion. Then we move to F major second inversion, to the sus in second inversion, which is the G. Boom, that's it. Going outside, going to the backyard, then going to the back door. A little bit of movement with that sus, and then start that chord progression over again. All right, so there is a point where we do go to, how's that melody? I think it's just B flat and just going straight back to the F major. I don't think there's any point where we can do a dominant chord. But so far, this I think provides like a general basis for how the piece is going to move. And from there, you can add some arpeggios. An arpeggio is where you take the notes of a chord and play them up and down in order. You do that for every single chord, and that creates some movement with the left hand. There's an option there, and then I like to go through. I generally like to go through the major pentatonic scale whenever it comes to transitions between different chords. So here's an example. What was that? The major pentatonic scale is where we take a major scale and remove the 4th and the 7. So if we take out B flat and E from the major scale, we're subtracting 2 from 7 to come out to 5. And using these notes, these provide like a really safe way to do some fillers. Why I shouldn't go so all over the place, but why did I form B flat major 7? Because after the intro, you're going to hear it in the melody. And it is part of the chord, even though the piano might be playing the major triad. You do hear the singer singing A, and so that creates the major 7 quality. And just like that, you can take the chords, learn how to invert them, learn how to have fun with them, add your own flair, and turn it into your own arrangement. I hope to provide like a basis for what seemingly might be just a bunch of random notes. That was the goal of this video. If you liked it, check out Fundamentals. I have every chord, every scale, every inversion in that document. I refer to it when I forget something, and also it's what I use to teach every single one of my students. So feel free to check it out. I strongly encourage you to do so if you're interested in building up your foundation. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this could help. And if you enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel. This is what I like to produce. Again, thank you so much, and happy practicing.